I felt called to talk about Saturn in Aries because we just had the full moon in Aries, and Aries is such a prominent sign this year with several planets moving into Aries. Saturn is back in Pisces at the moment, but it will re-enter Aries in the very beginning of the new year. What I really want to touch on and what I felt guided to talk about today is the 11 lessons that Saturn is delivering for us this year. And it first entered into Aries actually back in May of 2025, so around the end, May 24th. At the springtime of this year, we were initiated into this 3-year cycle of lessons that we're all going to be experiencing. Of course, each of us in different ways. It is already present, and many of us have already experienced these lessons. And I'm feeling called to break down each of these like more specifically. So I think I'm going to be making several parts to this video because it is so important to understand each of these lessons that Saturn is bringing us, because like I said, this is going to be playing out for the next 3 years. And right now, while Saturn is back in Pisces, we have a little bit of an emotional cleanup. So we have this period right now until February to do a lot of emotional cleaning up, because we're going to need to be in a much more emotionally stable and a more emotionally mature state for these coming years. There's a lot going on. I'm sure you can feel it. I'm sure you can see it. We can all see it. There's a lot going on in our world. There's a lot of changes happening. And some of these lessons that Saturn is bringing us is really going to help us to not only move through some of the challenges that are going to come over the coming years, particularly things with technology and just all the changes to like rules and regulations and how we operate as a human family, things that we do, the power that we give to others. Like there's so much that is going to be testing us so strongly that if you understand what lessons and what challenges Saturn in particular is bringing, because Saturn is the taskmaster, Saturn is the planet of lessons, of integrating and understanding how you grow, how you become a more mature version of yourself. So here are the 11 lessons of Saturn in Aries, and this is basically information not only for this year, but this is going to be playing out over the next 3 years. So I'm kind of giving you like a heads up and giving you this information in advance so that you can understand what you are moving through, why you're moving through it, and how to get through it. So the first lesson is to up-level your discipline. And I don't want to get into breaking each of these down right now. Like I said, I'm going to break them down in separate videos just to make the information a little bit more easy to digest. But right now, just know that these are the 11 lessons. You're probably already feeling this energy. I know I certainly am. And this is really about looking at the different areas of your life where you are going to need to up-level your discipline. The second lesson of Saturn is to restructure your routines and your life. And I feel like this restructuring is going to come with a lot of dropping things out of your life, dropping things out of your routines, your daily routines, weekly, monthly routines that are not serving, that are not helping you to elevate vibrationally, because that's what Saturn is really pushing us towards, or trying to teach us actually, to up level in as many different ways and in as many different areas of our lives as possible. So restructuring and looking at the different ways that you know would be beneficial to restructure your life, to restructure your routines, and to even look at the structures that are currently ruling your life are going to be very beneficial. The third lesson of Saturn is about taking responsibility. No one is getting away from this. We are all going to be called to take responsibility for different things in our lives. Most importantly, though, I feel like because it's in the sign of Aries, this is about taking responsibility for yourself, for your actions, for how you show up in the world. And I feel like this also has a lot to do with really being discerning about what you might be taking responsibility for that isn't yours, that has nothing to do with you, that perhaps you've been carrying for a long time for someone else. So looking at that and taking an honest review of how you have been carrying responsibilities that were never yours to begin with is going to be very valuable. Because Saturn wants you to shed, right? It wants us to release and to let go of the burdens, the weights, the things that are holding us down or the things that are holding us back. The fourth lesson of Saturn is to release limitations. So Saturn really wants us to let go of limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, all the ways in which we limit ourselves. This is a call for a complete restructuring of how you see yourself and really questioning why you feel so limited, why you feel like you can't accomplish something or can't have something, can't anything. Just put the word can't in front of whatever, and then you're going to know that those are the limitations that are living within you. Well, Saturn wants to blow it up. Saturn wants you to release those limitations. The fifth lesson of Saturn is learning patience and persevering. And of course, patience goes hand in hand with perseverance. So having perseverance has also been a huge lesson of 2025. I'm sure you have noticed this. There has been a lot of challenges and restrictions and limitations that we have had to really push through, that we have had to really persevere through. And this is a really huge one. I wrote a significant amount, like I wrote a whole page just on patience and perseverance. So I'll definitely be breaking this down in more detail, but I just want you to understand that there is a need to continue cultivating patience and perseverance within yourself for the rest of this year and moving into 2026, because it's going to be your superpower. It's going to be what gets you through a lot of the changes and challenges that are potentially coming your way. The sixth lesson of Saturn in Aries is about facing challenges head on. You will be not only encouraged, but deeply supported by the universe to face challenges head on. There's a lot of resolution energy behind this that I feel. So it matters how you show up when it comes to challenges, and it matters how you respond to them versus react to them, because you're influencing the resolution, right? Like you're going to be influencing how those challenges are resolved by how you show up to them. So if you're showing up in fear and contraction, the challenge is going to feel significantly heavier. It's going to be significantly harder to move through. But if you're showing up in peace, with patience, with love, with that perseverance, and with bravery to face whatever you need to face, and with an attitude of confidence to resolve the challenge, then you're going to create a very different outcome for yourself. The seventh lesson of Saturn in 2025 is about setting boundaries. My God, this has been a huge one, hasn't it? For so many people. Boundaries is something the human family consistently struggles with, and I know this is an individual issue. So setting boundaries with people and choosing yourself, which I talked about in yesterday's video about how this full moon in Aries is so much about putting yourself on that pedestal, making sure that you really do set those firm boundaries with other people, especially people that are struggling to have boundaries of their own, because usually those are the people that like to cross boundaries the most. And these boundaries are going to show up with so many different things and in so many different areas of your life, because these are not just external boundaries you set with other people, but these are actually boundaries you set with yourself. The eighth lesson of Saturn in 2025 is to achieve tangible long-term goals through hard work and maturity. Growing up, maturing emotionally, mentally, is going to be required for you to be able to achieve certain long-term goals. In all the years that I have done my coaching, something that I witness often is that people who are emotionally or mentally a little bit stunted in their growth due to some type of trauma, due to some type of negative experience from their childhood or from their early years, have a really difficult time to not only plan, but to see something through, especially something that requires a long haul type of commitment. The ninth lesson of Saturn is follow the rules. Saturn is making you follow the rules. And by rules, what I was actually receiving was universal laws. Because while we have earthly rules that we need to follow and certain structures in society that we need to adhere by, understanding the rules or the laws of the universe is actually more important. It's more impactful, because that is how you will manifest. Like understanding that is like understanding the rules of the game. And by game, of course, I'm referring to the game of life. The 10th lesson of Saturn is about paying the price. So Saturn says this year you need to pay the price. And what I mean by that is consequences for your actions, or consequences of past choices or decisions that you have made. There's an opportunity in 2025 for you to face some of these things. And paying the price or having consequences for our actions is actually one of the laws of the universe. It's a natural byproduct of our choices, right? So think about how you have already been maybe challenged to pay the price or face some type of consequence for the actions, past actions or decisions that you have made. And take a look at what perhaps you haven't paid up for yet, because that's something that you still have an opportunity to resolve in this year. It's not something that you have to take into the following year. So when you are willing to face the consequences of your actions with courage, with bravery, it again brings resolution. It's like you're giving yourself an opportunity to move closer to peace, to experience more peace in your life. And I feel like anybody that tries to really run from the consequences of their action this year are not going to do well, because Saturn is like no mercy. Okay. Saturn wants you to really understand and to learn this lesson, to integrate this lesson, so that it isn't something that you repeat over and over and over, so that it isn't something that you keep, dodging in the future, because we don't get away from lessons. They keep coming up, they keep coming around. And all we do when we are afraid to face the consequences of our actions is we perpetuate that cycle to keep looping. We keep ourselves karmically tied or attached or chained to that cycle. So surrender is actually a huge piece of this. And last but not least, the 11th lesson Saturn is delivering for us this year is it's asking us to build a life of meaning. 2025, I feel like, is this massive turning point where we are truly given an opportunity to up level into a higher life, into a better existence, into a better day-to-day reality. But in order for us to have that experience, we need to build that. We need to have clarity on what that life looks like, what it feels like, what type of experiences you want to have. And this was something I made a previous video about, and I'm going to link it in the description box in case you didn't see that. But building a meaningful life is something that I feel like is coming to the forefront of a lot of people's minds. You may be really looking at connecting to more meaning in your life. And actually, this full moon energy that we're still currently under was so much about that. The full moon in Aries, I talked about how we, what we place on pedestals. And are you placing money on a pedestal over your own fulfillment, over your own happiness, or over your own values? Because these are some of the Saturnian lessons, I should say, that are helping us dismantle not only false lives, but experiences that are just unnecessarily burdensome. The universe is constantly guiding us towards happiness. It's constantly guiding us towards freedom. So everything that we face and everything that we experience as a challenge is really, truly just an opportunity for redirection. So like I said, I want to talk about these 11 lessons in a little bit more detail in upcoming videos, because I feel that this is exactly what humanity is moving through as a collective, meaning that we are all individually also moving through this. And when you understand what you're moving through, not only can you plan better, but you can just make better decisions, take better action that is truly going to align you with the type of life, the type of experiences, the type of people, the type of connections and opportunities that are really going to bring that fulfillment, that are going to bring that joy, that ease that you are so craving in life, and that every single person is so craving in this life. I truly believe that the more we know, the more powerful we become, the more clarity, the more understanding we have about what our cosmos is truly doing and how it's directing us, where it's moving us to, what it's pointing towards for you specifically, the more soul-based and soul-aligned control you have over your life, over your own destiny. So let me know in the comments below if these 11 lessons of Saturn are resonating for you at this time, 1 or 2, or maybe all of them. And I will be back very soon with the breakdown of each of these, probably in separate videos, but we'll see. I'll just let that kind of roll out however it wants to roll out. And I look forward to seeing you there.